We run the swim club in town, and since last January, some of our swimmers starting to involve in triathlon, and we actually ourselves organized a couple little mini one ourselves. So I think a lot of children like it. Our club is for children, not adult yet. Well, eventually maybe we will starting for master swim too, but right now it's only for children. And some of the children doing pretty good in this area, and they like it. So it happened. And Aubrey just last time when we run it, he just moved in town here, and he also joined us. I was really surprised to see someone can finish that fast. So I didn't know anything about him before that day. That's how we connect from that simple race that he just happened to join us. So Aubrey, you can give yourself some introduction or something.
Thanks for coming out. I'm Aubrey. I've been racing long distance races since I think about the year 2000. I ran my first marathon in the military when I was out in Hawaii. And I've been racing professionally in triathlons for the past 3 years, primarily in the Ironman and half Ironman distance. So, what I'm thinking about tonight, I know we have a lot of beginners in here, so I'm going to throw probably a lot of information at you. So just, save your questions till the end and take points that are interesting to you, and we'll talk about it at the end. We'll do a long Q&A. But I'm literally going to walk through a triathlon how I would do it, from the first step all the way to the finish. How I would gather up my gear, how I would set it up, how I transition from swim to bike and bike to run. I think a lot of that will be helpful, especially for people who haven't seen it before. So I'll go ahead and get started. Sometimes it can be a little daunting heading to a race with all this stuff. So it's a good idea to make a checklist before of what you're going to need, and check it off the day before, so you're not worried about it on race morning, like, oh no, I forgot this, I need batteries for my watch, or whatever it may be. My goggles are fogging up all the time. So in the open water, that's one thing for the swimmers. May not be as big of a deal. You can put a little bit of baby shampoo in your goggles, and you're good for a short race in the pool. But in the open water, when they get fogged up on you, you can't see where you're going. That could be real trouble. So something to think about. Most of the time when you come to a triathlon, you're going to have big metal racks that you can hang your bike on. I usually like to hang mine by the seat on the rack. A lot of times it's up to you. You can hang it by the front, by the brakes as well. I usually like to hang it by the seat so that when I drop it down, I can roll it forward and it doesn't spin the pedals. If you drop it down, it goes backwards at all. You see it moves the pedals on you. So I like them to be right where I want them. So I probably didn't bring the right skewers to set this up. So the first thing I'm going to do when I get to the race is go ahead and put my bike on the rack, and then you don't have to be wheeling that around anymore. So I got this indoor trainer here that I can do training on in the cold Florida winters when I don't want to be outside.
I mean, feel free to stand up if you can't see and walk around. And we set the chair this way, doesn't mean you sit exactly that way. Just move around if you want.
In the race situation, it'll be a lot easier than this. You just go hang it on the rack and walk away. Okay, next I'm going to go through all my gear. It's not a bad idea to set out a little towel to put your stuff on for the run. And it can also be a good identifier. So when you run past it, oh, I'm the one with the pink towel, and it's easy to see, because sometimes in the confusion of the race you forget where your bike is. So another cue could be if there's a tree or something right outside of the transition area where your bike is. Remember, okay, my bike is right behind the second tree, so you know where it is when you're coming in. Okay, so I got my towel down here. So I've actually got my running shoes on. Got some elastic laces in there so you can throw them on in a hurry. And then whatever you need. You know, if in a longer race especially, you know, nutrition is important. You got to get your calories in, so whatever you like to do there, you can put it here. Another trick is set it in your shoe so you don't leave it. Sometimes you get in a hurry, you grab your shoes and you just run away and you leave your nutrition or whatever else you need there. You're also going to need a race belt with your race number. Almost every race is going to require you to have a race number on during the run. I've been guilty of actually finishing a race and realizing that I left it in transition. So it's another good idea to wrap this around your shoes so that, hey, I have to move this out of the way to get to my shoes. So I'm going to grab it. Okay, I got my hand on it. Shoe on, go. We'll get to that. Okay. Another quick little thing with the helmet. So depending on how your rack is set up and which side you're coming from, if I know I'm going to run into the transition from this side, I'm probably going to set my helmet up on this same side. It's just really easy. Another thing with your straps, sometimes we just throw it down here and it's just sitting there. And you go to put your helmet on and you're huffing and puffing, you just swam really hard, you throw it on and you're fumbling with it and it takes you 5 minutes to find where the straps are and get it on. So it's not a bad idea, or it's a fabulous idea to set it down, lay the straps down perfectly so you know where it is when you pick it up. You've got them in your hand, you lay it on your head, go down to where the buckles are, and then 2 fingers on each buckle. Meet your fingers. It's just that easy. Put it in. Seems really simple right now, but when you're moving fast, it can be, people are getting pretty excited about putting their helmets on. So make sure you just lay the straps down. No big deal there. Okay. Sunglasses. I like to wear sunglasses. And I mean, for a lot of reasons, just keeping the sun out of your eyes, but also keeping dirt and debris and things coming off of other people's bike tires out of your eyes when you're riding. So I'll open them up so they're easy to put on and put them right inside the helmet. So when I'm coming in, put my glasses on, grab my helmet, straight down to the buckles, finger on fingers, snap and go. Okay. You know, I've also been in some races, it can be really important to get on the bike really quickly after the swim so that you have people nearby to ride with and you're not out in no man's land. So getting something like putting that buckle in quickly can make all the difference in your race. So you might want to practice that even in transition. You know, you might look a little goofy, but you know, during the race you'll look a lot smoother. But when you get to transition and you set it up just like I did, put it on a couple of times and make sure you got the hang of it. Put it back down. Practice it again right before you start. Okay. So next, see, I'll go ahead and lay my swim stuff out while I'm getting ready, just so I don't forget it. Okay. Then the bike shoes. Again, sometimes getting onto the bike is really important. I would say, in the beginnings of triathlon, you can run with your bike shoes on through transition to a mount line. Once you get outside of transition, there'll be people telling you, okay, once you cross this line, you're allowed to mount your bike, but not before. Okay, you can get penalized if you go before. So you can run in your bike shoes, or another option is you can go ahead and attach them to the bike. This is a little advanced, but not bad to see. You know, you can do this down the road for sure. Okay. And then, now to get them where we want them to be, we've got some rubber bands, and I already attached them to my wrists, so I knew I had the ones I needed. Okay. So I like to mount my bike from the left side. So running on the left side of my bike. So I want this foot to be forward. So what I'm going to do here, most shoes are going to have a place where you can attach a rubber band, and triathlon specific shoes have this handy little loop on the back. stretch this thing out. If it breaks, that's okay, you can just tie it. Okay, so now it holds my shoe sort of up for me, right in the spot that I want it. The cranks can be a little bit heavy like that and it'll want to drop down. So what I'm going to do here is take another rubber band, break it, and then I'm just going to tie this crank arm to the bike right here so it'll hold it on there. This one can be a little bit trickier, but it's not bad. When learning this process, what I did was every time I went out for a bike ride, I mounted and dismounted like I was doing it in a race. Didn't spend any extra time on it other than that, but every single ride I practiced it like I was getting into the race, starting and also getting off. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And these are the troubles that you run into on race morning. So another key thing is show up early. An hour early is pretty much the standard. If you get there an hour early, you got plenty of time to set up and get warmed up. Yeah, the race is the easy part. When you line up on the start line though, and you know everything is ready for you, it's a good feeling. But the thing about triathlon is there's always going to be some hiccups along the way, and you should expect it. And you should just really roll with whatever the day gives you, and expect that there's going to be a couple of things that are going to go wrong in the day. You know, the most successful triathletes are going to be the ones who just brush it off and keep going, keep moving forward. So that's something to remember. All right. So now, I know a lot of folks are doing the open race, the HITS race, which is a short enough swim you may not need a wetsuit, but in the future, if you do longer swims in that temperature water, you might want a wetsuit. Here, I'll go over this as well. Luckily, we don't have to wear them too often in Florida, but you can swim in the open water pretty much year-round if you have a wetsuit down here. So,
is this the same wetsuit as those surfing, or specifically for tri?
This is specifically for swimming. Yeah. So and there's many different kinds, many different levels. The better ones these days have super flexible shoulders, so you wouldn't even know that you have a full sleeve on. A lot of people worry about it and get a wetsuit that has no arm on it because they're worried about the shoulder mobility. But these days, the nicer wetsuits are so flexible that it really doesn't matter. And then the thickness of the neoprene is in such a way to help your buoyancy. So depending on the swimmer there too, there are times when if you're a swimmer that has a natural high body position, you don't want a wetsuit that's going to be too thick. It's going to put you up so high you're going to feel awkward in the water. So it depends a little bit on the swimmer. So, let's see. So go ahead and get into the race gear. And a couple of little things here. Some kind of a lubricant. This is Tri-Slide, which is great stuff. Can help you get the wetsuit off when you're done and also help you from chafing. In the salt water, it can be a little bit worse, especially like on the back of your neck. So you just give yourself a little spray, move it around. That wetsuit in the salt water can really irritate your neck. And you see people, you don't even realize it. And then after the race, the whole neck is like all scabbed up. So put a little bit on the legs. And loop around. And then get off your hands. Okay, and the trick with the wetsuit is because it's so soft, this neoprene, you can tear it really easily with your fingernails. So that's another thing. You can keep your fingernails, cut down nice and short before the race. You grab your wetsuit on in a hurry and you rip it and just put a big hole in your nice suit. So you can put a bag on your foot. I'll do this first. And it slides through pretty easily. One. And then the key with the wetsuits are, you really want to get it pulled up almost higher than you think. So I'm really going to scoot this way up on my leg, way up, and then just gently keep working this up again, watching your fingernails. I think I've gained some weight since I was last time. So it must be pretty tight. That's a good thing. Yeah. You can use the bag for the arms as well. I've worn this suit many times.
Did you get it online or did you get it here, Aubrey?
Yeah, no, online, the Aquaman. The wetsuit, you also want to take your time getting it on. Don't rush through it and then not have that perfect fit. You don't want to get halfway across the swim and realize your shoulders are starting to get tight because you didn't get the wetsuit on perfectly. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see, is not getting it pulled up high enough. So bend over, create some room, and just keep working it up. And then I want to get to where I can lift my arm all the way overhead and have no air here. So it needs to come up quite a bit more. If you have sometimes if you have somebody helping you out that's experienced, it can help. Okay. And then you usually want somebody to help you zip it up as well. Let's see if I can still get this one.
You did a hand?
This is my job.
Yeah.
Suck in.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations? So if we're doing that little open that's not so far,
Yeah.
and if we don't have a wetsuit, do you have any
Swim
recommendations?
fast.
Really?
It's pretty cold, but I mean, it was 100 meters. It's
Is
fine.
100?
Yeah, but even
Yeah.
a sprint distance of 400 meters, I would definitely wear a wetsuit in that water. Yeah, I would, but I'm not very fond of the cold water.
Yeah, I wore the shorty last time, but the kids, they didn't wear anything. They just jump in.
Yeah, with their kids.
And I won't go in there without anything.
A lot of the wetsuits will zip the other way from the bottom up, and then if you have this dangling, a lot of people will like to keep it up here like this. You can attach it to the Velcro. The only problem with that is if you're swimming and somebody grabs the strap, they can zip it right off. So this is much better to go from the top down, and then you can just let it dangle. If somebody grabs it, it doesn't hurt anything. So my stuff out of the way. Time to walk down to the swim. Get ready for a little warm up. I always like to, for triathlons, the only warm up is usually in the water. I usually like to get a long swim warm up. So that's what I'm going to go down. Warming up. And before there to give you the ready whenever it's time to go. That's when the nerves set in and the fun starts. And then you go and you're swimming. Swimming as hard as you can in open water. A couple little things about open water swimming. Obviously, there's no lane lines, no ropes to follow. The sighting is very important. You want to see where you're going. It's always a good idea to stay on somebody's feet. However, you want to check yourself and make sure those feet are also going in the right direction. But the thing is the draft is so much of a benefit, it's almost better even if they're going the wrong way just to stay on the feet. Unless they're really out of the way. So you'd want to take, usually they used to say take 10 strokes. 10 strokes, and then you look up. So you just pop your head straight up, you got an arm out to balance, you see the buoy, or sometimes past a buoy, you can see a big building or something in the background, and you can just sight off of that building. It's a lot easier to see than that buoy if there's any waves. So you can just point at that building, okay, I'm swimming there. 10 strokes, I'm looking, but usually 10 strokes is not enough. You're going to probably want to do even fewer than that. I mean, even if it's every other stroke. I just need to make sure, okay, I'm good. Okay, now I'll settle in, maybe 10 is as long as you'll go before you empty it.
Okay, so any tips, because I see pictures and I see these people swimming over each other, which,
Oh, yeah.
So just swim as
So
fast.
one thing, so I would check the fit of your goggles.
I was going to ask you which goggles.
I've always gone with these Blue 70 Elements. They're so versatile for everything. And they're not very expensive, so I like to wear a brand new pair of goggles for every race, just to make sure there's no chances of them fogging up. But if you put them underneath your cap, you got a lot better chance of not getting them knocked off too.
Okay.
So.
Under, okay.
And if you are really cold, even in the shorter race, you can double cap. Wear 2 caps. It does help insulate pretty well.
Okay, that's
So great tip there. So if you're worried about getting your goggles knocked off, if they ever loose at all, make sure you put it under your cap so it doesn't get knocked off. Okay? So let's say we just came out of the water. So the first thing I'm going to do before I even touch my goggles, I'm going to grab the sweatsuit, pull it straight up, and as I'm running, so I'm running towards my bike, pull it off. Still running, and then when you get all the way over to your bike, because you can run with it around your waist, no problem. So you just throw your stuff down, straight down. So even that tri-slide still wasn't enough. I get one little rip. One little rip, that's not bad. But sometimes they can get hung up, and you're really struggling to get it off. So that little bit of tri-slide helped, but my foot still did grab it. Okay, so getting ready for the bike. So I messed up what I would have said. I should have set my stuff, my gear up over here, so I didn't have to walk around it. Okay, glasses, helmet, finger to finger. Okay, grabbing my bike. I'm running with it, get to the mountain line, mount here, and that should have been tighter.
So they have a line that it's called a mount line where you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Where you're allowed to put on.
Oops. I don't have the right skewer for this, so I'm just going to leave it out. But I'll just leave it out. That's the idea. So you would jump on your bike, get down low. So okay, I'm on my bike. I'm going to get down aerodynamic, get your back nice and flat. We don't want to sit straight up into the wind with chest looking right into the wind, catching all that breeze. It's aerodynamics trump weight. So you could add 50 pounds to your bike and it would be better than sitting straight up into the wind. Okay, so get down low, and if you have a road bike, you can't rest here, but you can still get down in the drops and you can get really low. And don't let the air hit your whole arm. You can bend your elbow so you have a nice flat surface for the air to cross over. A lot of times I see people go down in the drops and you got your arms straight out and the wind's just nailing them, and it's like little parachutes. So get a little bend in there, think about getting nice and low and being very efficient. Okay. So a couple of things, in triathlon especially, there's two things that you can control, and that's your effort and your attitude. Okay, you can't control what the other competitors are doing, and you cannot control your speed per se, but you can have a good attitude, and you can push hard and continue to push yourself and stay positive about it. You may have a low spot, there's probably going to be a few in most triathlons, but as long as you stay positive, you'll come out of that other side just fine and have a great race. Okay? So I'm coming in from the bike, we'll say, and I'm going to hop off and leave my shoes just like they are. So when I hop off, I'll swing one leg over, so I'm just standing on this side, and then when I get to the mountain line, they'll say dismount here, because if you go across that line, they'll disqualify you. So you get before that line, you hop off, run to my ramp, set my bike up, throw my stuff off. Just gotta leave glasses on. Okay, belt, I want to make sure I don't forget it. Shoes, vest,
And barefoot.
fast and barefoot. Yeah, especially even for a 5K, you definitely don't. Even, yeah, you're fine. I'll usually not wear socks all the way up to a half Ironman. No socks. Okay, and then you go, you got your nutrition if you need it, and you're gone, and you're running. Same thing, be prepared for low spots, and stay positive. You can't control what the other people are doing around you. You just control yourself. And there's going to be an aid station, periodically, depending on the length of the race, usually every mile. So if it's a 5K, you'll get usually a couple of aid stations anyway in those 3 miles. So, and that's it. You cross the finish line, raise your hands. I did it. I did it. So, I know that's a ton of information, but does anybody have any questions?
She mentioned a question about when you have a lot of people in the water, so your position.
Yeah.
Some people recommend if you're away from the crowd, or you let everybody go rather than the frenzy of everybody swimming over everybody.
Yeah. That's a good idea, definitely. You can kind of feel it out, but I would recommend if you're